Good morning, Jewish Latin Princess readers, and welcome to a special video episode with financial planner and money coach Debbie Sassen. If you've been following the blog for a while, you know that one of the big themes that I like to present to you here is that everything is under the realm of God. There's nothing that cannot be elevated. The physical and the spiritual are completely integrated, and they should. And thus we talk here about fashion, design, food, parenting. And one of the things that we need to talk about is also money. Money is a big part of Jewish life. I mean, we need money to do mitzvot. We need money to serve Hashem. We need money to give tzedakah, obviously. And we need money to buy kosher food, to pay for our children's Jewish education, to put up mezuzot in our homes, to purchase our homes, to get Jewish camps for our kids. I mean, anything and everything. So it's an important part of the conversation. And so it was not coincidence, it was rather ashkacha pratis, that soon after I had posted that epic post called The 10 Steps to Reducing Financial Anxiety and Feeling Empowered with Your Money, I bumped into Debbie Sassen. I found her online, and after just a little digging, I just fell in love with her and her approach to money. And so I am so grateful that she agreed to come here on the blog and share a wealth of information with you. I think you're going to love her. Enjoy. Good morning, Debbie, and welcome to Jewish Latin Princess, all the way from the land of Israel. I mean, how cool is that? I'm so excited that you're here with us today. I was just telling my readers before that I found you, and it was total ashkacha pratis, it was total divine providence that I bumped into you. And you have such an important message to share. It's such an important conversation. And I'm just so grateful that you agreed to come on the blog with us.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for bringing this important topic out to your readers.
Absolutely. So let's get started with your journey. I mean, I understand that you've been doing personal finance now for what, 9 years or so, but you were in the world of money for a long time before that, and you had kind of a wake-up call and a whole journey that has taken you to where you are today. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, so I began working on Wall Street straight out of college. In 1985, I started working at Goldman Sachs. And I worked in New York for 2 years. I worked in London for a year, and then I moved to Israel. Mm-hmm. And when I came to Israel after I was in seminary, I went to work at the Bank of Israel, and I worked there in the foreign currency department doing portfolio management for a while, and then I moved to the economics unit. It was about half-half. And 14 years ago, a little over 14 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with cancer, and thank God, Baruch Hashem, he's okay today. He doesn't even go back for checkups for his doctor anymore. It was so long ago, Baruch Hashem. And also when he finished his chemo, his mother passed away suddenly. His hair hadn't even grown back. And that was a real wake-up call that we needed to take care of our finances. I mean, a little bit earlier when he was going through chemo, because there was the real fear, scare that I would, maybe have to manage on my own. And then to see his mother pass away so quickly. So we really started digging into our finances and seeing what was going on. And I discovered there was a little bit of a mess there. I mean, we were never in debt. Thank God, because we're just not that type. We had good jobs. We're both professionals. We had good jobs. But when I looked at the investments that we'd taken on over the years, and I was one who was really in charge of the finances. So embarrassing to say, I had made some messes. I took a hot tip thinking that I was like a hot shot, financial person and knew what I was doing, and ended up losing a lot of money. Right?
Been there.
Right. Okay. And also just, looking at the investments and noticing what was going on with the fees that we were paying our financial advisor, which if you're not aware of it, they're huge.
Yes.
And yeah. So I started doing a lot of reading and learning. I took online classes to become a certified financial planner.
So how did it all, you started taking clients?
No, so I left the Bank of Israel after the birth of my 8th child. I was like, I was a little burnt out, and physically I was a little tired from doing the mommy thing and taking the bus from Beit Shemesh, where I lived, to Jerusalem. and I needed a change. So I retired from the Bank of Israel, and very slowly over the last 9 years, I've transitioned to personal financial planning, and more recently, money coaching.
Beautiful, beautiful. And now that you've been through your journey, and I can so relate to this journey. I think I mentioned this to you before. I have a degree in economics, and I worked in corporate finance, and I even went and got my MBA, and I still felt at some point, I looked at my finances, I'm like, what have I been doing? Like, something is missing here. So why do you think that women are a little bit behind in the whole money conversation, even smart, educated women? Like, what is going on? And more importantly, what can we do about it?
So I think the language of money is very intimidating. I mean, there are many barriers. One of them is the language. And it's like anything. Let's say you're going to learn chemistry. You have to go, when you go to school and you learn about the different chemicals. I'll make a real mess up of myself if I try to pretend I know what I'm talking about. My husband's a scientist in the family. Whatever, you learn, bit by bit, step by step, and we absorb things as we grow. I mean, you have kids, I have kids. Watch how a baby develops language. So we don't develop the languaging of money and the comfort of money, and then all of a sudden we're supposed to jump into it when we're in our 20s or our 30s of our 40s. So that's not so easy. So that's one barrier to entry. And I think money and finance and Wall Street has more traditionally been a man's world. So women will maybe shy away from it. Women maybe traditionally go more, I'm not even talking in the Jewish world and the religious world, but women often go more towards the helping professions, whether it's the teachers, the psychologists, the social workers. There are movements to bring women into sciences and into engineering on a broad spectrum. I'm not talking about in the Jewish world or the religious world, but there are certain areas that have not traditionally been frequented by women. So maybe those two things together can keep women away from the money world and the messaging that we grew up with, that the man is supposed to take care of us, and we're supposed to take care of the home, and the man is supposed to take care of the finances. So that will also maybe be a barrier to entry for women.
So what can we do about it, since this is kind of pervasive in society, although it's starting to change? How do you talk to somebody who's kind of like realized that they didn't figure it out early on or whatever? What are the steps that we need to start taking to kind of change that for ourselves and for our daughters, for example?
To like anything, just you start by dipping your little toe in, and you're going to go into a pool, and the water, there may be the people that are going to jump right in, but some people will just go step by step by step. They will start learning a little bit, and the next day a little bit more, and the next day a little bit more. I tell the people that I work with, just open up your bank statement and look at your bank statement.
Right.
And you look at it, there's so many numbers there, and I think that it's designed like to give us the shakes or something,
Right.
So we intuitively would just like get rid of it, but take the time, take a deep breath, and look at it. Notice what the headings are in each of the columns, and try and understand what those mean. Until there's a familiarity with the language of what it means. And if you put yourself in that situation and absorb the words and the languaging over time, it's quite amazing how much can be learned, not through osmosis, but just even little baby steps over time. You can create a lot more strength and courage and competence with the language of money.
We had earlier a conversation when I first met you about, now that you mentioned the language of finance, you just reminded me that there's also an emotional component to our relationship with money, which you talk about on your website. And you mentioned to me that, on the technical part, you were very strong because that was your career, basically, money. But even when you were training, you felt that as a person who's going to be helping people with their personal finances, there needed to be a strong emotional component, that you really wanted to be stronger in that. So I'm curious, this is kind of new in the money conversation. It's certainly not something that my parents ever talked about. And I think it's very important. It's very important to you. I see it comes over in your blog post and so on and so forth. What is this emotional component, and why is it so important for us to address it when we're trying to manage our finances?
Yeah, I think you're right that it is something that's relatively new. I mean, money and finances have been around for hundreds and thousands of years, and getting connected with the emotion element is maybe 30 years old. I mean, there are a few pioneers in the field where money and emotions connect, and I wasn't there either. I was really on the technical side. But when I started working with people and meeting people, and as you said in the beginning, smart, educated women, women who have beautiful careers, women who have PhDs. But when it came to money, there was anxiety, panic. One of my clients who is very, very successful, earns multiples of what her husband earns. And she's like, Debbie, I need courage to meet with you.
Wow.
And it was like a shocker to me. How could that be? You're so successful in the earning, but how come you're so blocked when it comes to just taking care of your personal finances? And so it wasn't like that I knew that this was so. It was really something that I started witnessing and observing with my clients. And it comes back, to a large extent, but I think to the messages that we heard around money when we were growing up, and the patterns and habits that we saw with our parents around money. And we absorb that, as children. Our values become their values, or sometimes we're rebellious and we go the other way. Our parents, have a certain set of values and we decide to throw that away and run 180 degrees the other direction. But I think it leaves some sort of imprint internally on how we act and react around money. And of course, there's a whole community, the broader global community that, maybe rich people are bad and rich people are evil and they're snobby or elitist. So we have that sort of ticking away in our brain. Right. Exactly. So there's a whole package that needs to be unpacked. And when we understand and we connect with and we have awareness of the messages that we've observed and absorbed, then we can release them and we can change the tape that's going on in our head. I don't ever think that you change it, but you can take on new messages that support you and can help you go forward in a more strong, empowered way.
So it seems like that is a critical step, doing that emotional work to kind of really take ownership and really achieve your financial goals. Right.
For many people it is. Mm-hmm. There's a whole spectrum of people. So I would say for many people, and women who are more emotional than men on average, right? So I think that when it comes to women, it's even more of a necessity than it is for men. Men can be much more like left-brained around things like that.
Right. So you mentioned earlier about our prior experiences with money and perhaps our thoughts that money was managed by male and so on and so forth, and women not really thinking that they needed to be part of this, or it would be taken care of, perhaps. So I'm wondering if there's anybody out there who never worked with a financial advisor or money coach, or perhaps they even had negative experiences like some of us. We would go to these offices behind the fancy mahogany desk and they would talk this jargon and there was no emotional connection whatsoever, right? And, this not a real relationship or whatever. So people that perhaps either never had an experience with an advisor or had a negative experience with an advisor, what do they get from working with somebody like you? Like, what is it like to working with you, and what are they signing up for? What is it that they're going to be doing by working with Debbie Sassen, for example?
I hold my clients' hands, in real life or not in real life. Right. No, I do. Thinking this week I met with one of my clients, and I my women clients, I give them big hugs when we finish meeting, because they need that support, or they want that support around money. It can make people very, very emotional, and just to feel held, to feel seen, to feel heard, to not feel embarrassed and shame. We all make money mistakes, and if we make that okay, then we can grow and we can change and we can heal around some of the past behaviors or some of the messaging that we have around money, and we can move forward and be more confident. So you're average advisor who's sitting behind a mahogany desk probably isn't going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much more awareness in the money world, I think people are becoming much more personal around money, so they might send flowers on a birthday or something like that.
Starbucks gift card.
Right. Even in the financial planning world, I've really seen that, the advice to the advisors is to get involved in the family events of your clients.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I'm there for them.
Right. Right. So you work both with women and with couples, right?
Yes.
Very
Yes.
nice.
And I've worked with single men also. I worked with a couple where the man has been the one who's really more in charge of the money and the woman has decided for whatever reasons to stay in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
So I work with pretty much anybody.
Uh-huh. So I'm curious, I have some readers who are younger, maybe they're starting out with their families, newly married. I even have some ladies that are not married yet, but are thinking of their future, but perhaps they haven't. The reality of the cost of Jewish life and raising Jewish children and running a Jewish household didn't really hit them yet. So what would you say to a woman who has the benefit of time on her side, and of course of the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest, right?
Right.
What can you say to her to, as just words of wisdom?
I would say that this is a beautiful. Besides, take a deep breath. That's what I. That's what I first thought when you said that. But start developing now strong habits. If you're working, and especially if you're still living at home and you don't have to cover all of your expenses because your rent is covered or your mortgage is covered because you're living in your parents' house, but even if you're living on your own or sharing an apartment, take a percentage of every one of your paychecks and put that aside. Don't get in the habit of using every last penny that you're earning and spending it, and certainly don't get in the habit of using credit card debt to spend more than you're earning. But their wisdom of pay yourself first. When you earn your $500 a month or whatever it is, I don't know, but take 10% off of the top. Well, take the first 10% and give it to tzedakah. Then take the next 10% and give it, put it in the bank to save it. Start learning about investing so that you can invest it for the future. But make that a regular routine and regular habit so that you're not used to living on the edge. So we're creating a financial margin.
This concept of under-earning, and I know that just earlier you mentioned that traditionally women have gone into more service fields and things like that, and not that there necessarily has to be a relationship, but when this concept was mentioned to me, it hit a big light bulb. And this whole idea of that, and men could be under-earners too, but this whole concept of under-earning, where it's kind of like a new reality. And I wonder if you could address it a little bit, and how does a person identify if they fall in that realm and maybe they need to take steps to break out of that?
But I don't think it's that it's a new reality. I think it's happened historically. Even when I was in college, and I'm about 10 years older than you are, and I went to Smith College, which is real, feminist, women power, whatever, university. So I think there were buttons that we had at the time that was like, 69 cents or something like that. For every dollar that a man earns, a woman earns 69 cents. So there was, so that was already an awareness when I was in college, which was, a year or two ago. Anyway, but I think that if women don't negotiate for themselves as well as men, and even when women negotiate harder, it's fascinating, but a man can receive a salary that is above a woman's salary for the same job without negotiating, where she'll negotiate and she'll have to claw her way to, some number that's below what he's earning. So that's one aspect that women are just, I don't know, I do want to say that we're taken advantage of in a certain way, because we are given lower salaries because we don't negotiate, because we settle for less, and there's a fear around stepping up and owning our value. I mean, that could be one part of the equation. And then the other equation, the under-earning, is not being in touch with what we need. We get some money and we spend it haphazardly, and we don't even know how much we need. If we would stop and look at our family and look at what we need to cover the expenses of our family. If you have 8 children like I have, and you have to get all those kids through school, and you have to get the bar mitzvahs, and you have to get them married off, and all that, and Hashem, and settle, or in Jewish day schools these days are,
very expensive.
That's whoa. That's figure out what you need, and then start thinking about how are you going to be able to satisfy your needs. It could be that you don't have to live in the most expensive Jewish communities. You live out of town, right? For whatever reason, and not everybody has to live in New York, and not everybody has to live in New Jersey or the 5 towns. It could be you can get your needs met by moving into some place that's less expensive. It could be that you are spending in ways that you're paying a lot for wants, but your basic needs aren't getting met. And so, this under-earning concept has a lot of connection with being really, really, really in touch with what your needs are and if they're getting met. And then there's a level of wants that come on top of that. But if you are living in a situation where you don't feel safe, you're living in a neighborhood, for example, where you don't feel secure and you don't have an alarm on your house. But at the same time, you're spending a lot of extras. So you're going to be living in, with the feeling of danger, and that's not a comfortable way to live. So I work with my clients to get in touch with what they need, and then they might have to make different choices to change up some of the things, the way they're earning, the way they're spending, so that their basic needs are getting met. And when that happens, then you're not under-earning.
So this is brilliant, because what I hear you saying is that there needs to be a connect between your real values, what you truly value, and how you're spending your money, and that perhaps that connection is sometimes not happening, right? Right.
Or often not happening.
Right.
Because we live in this fast-paced society, and we never stop to take a deep breath and question ourselves. We just do, and run all the time.
Right. And just as a side note, I think it's important, and pitch in to this, to run that value conversation with your spouse for people who are married. I mean, recently my husband and I had a conversation about money. We try to have these money dates regularly. And we scripted out independently things that we value. And even though we've been married for almost 12 years, it was quite eye-opening, because there were certain things that I value and that he valued, and we weren't aware of that. And it made us question whether we're actually putting money in those things. And, we found out that perhaps we're not. And then that's something to work on, right?
That's great. I love that.
So I think it's
you're a wonderful role model for all of your readers.
Oh,
that's great.
Okay. I don't know about that yet, but we're trying. We're trying.
It's a process. We weren't born with it. Certainly when it comes to spouses, we don't know our husbands, in this way.
Right.
We could be married. We might know, if he likes his chicken sweet or sour, or or not sweet. I mean, sweet or salty, not sour. But we might know certain things. But in terms of these values conversations, we don't have them. It's beautiful. It's great that you're having those conversations.
Yeah. Talking about role models, here's a question for you that I'm curious, because you mentioned you're the mother of 8 children, Kenai Nahara, and as you've gone through this journey, I'm wondering if you have tips on how to teach kids about money, or what are you doing now that you've learned so much along the way? I feel like, for example, for a person like myself who I would like, and I'm hoping a lot of readers out there, I would like my kids to be more savvy about their personal finances and their relationship with money more than I was. So what are some things that we could do with our kids? How can we teach them differently, in a different way than our parents taught us, perhaps?
I think with anything when it comes to parenting, role modeling is key. So if you and your husband are developing a healthy relationship with money, your children will see that, right? As I said, we go back to looking into the messages that we absorbed and the habits that we observed. And if they see you talking about money. Let's say it's a little bit tight this month. Let's say around Pesach when we have to buy lots of matzahs or whatever we want to do. We want to buy new clothes for Yom Tiv. It's a change of seasons. There's a lot of expenses often around that time. And if you're talking about priorities, not like, oh, we don't have enough money, because that can get us into scarcity mode, but talking about, okay, this is a priority for me. This isn't a priority, for us as a family. So then they're hearing you talk on making values-based decisions. It's not like we don't have enough. And certainly if we're talking about, that Hashem is always taking care of us, so then they'll realize that there is a God out there who's taking care of us, who can give us everything that we need, and we have to make sure to give over that message as well. That they they should feel that confident, that safety and the security that their needs are being met. So making sure that you're role modeling those kinds of conversations, and then in terms of behaviors. Our kids see us when we're dealing with tzedakah. They know that my husband has his little notebook and we write down all of our income, and they see us and the checks that are coming through, so they know that that's part of our life. And one thing that I learned from Rebbetzin Altusky, who is, for your readers, if your readers don't know, Rav Scheinberg Zatzal, it's his oldest daughter, and I took parenting classes with her more than 20 years ago. And she does not hold, or didn't that time, she probably didn't change her tune then, and since then, but she did not believe in giving children an allowance.
Okay, interesting.
Now, I know that some people say that you should give your kids an allowance because then they will learn how to manage money. But her feeling was that children, you shouldn't they shouldn't get something for nothing. Right, there shouldn't be a feeling of entitlement. Like, why do we just give our kids money? Because they're there, because they, so that was something that we took on. It was a values-based decision that, children can help out in the house. There's nothing wrong with washing dishes. There's nothing wrong with folding laundry. That's part of their responsibility as being a member of the household. So we don't pay them for chores. We don't give them an allowance. And when they start earning money, the girls have gone out to babysit, and my sons have always had this little business around sukkahs. They give tzedakah straight away. And for me, that's so beautiful to watch them just, come home, take the money and take the 10% and put it in a tzedakah box. I'm like, my heart is just, like shining to see that happening.
Wow. You know what? You just reminded me. I never shared this with my readers, but one of my kids, he was getting older and there was really no need for like a big birthday party. He wasn't interested. So we said, and he was starting to like learn about money and so on and so forth. And we opened a bank account, and we had a bank account for him, but we went and put $100, right? And he knew to take tzedakah from it. And he took $10 and he said, well, Ma, it's more important that I should give to many people. So can we ask the teller that he should give it to us in $1 bills? And he had it in his little envelope, and we had it in the dashboard, in the glove compartment. And anytime we were in the car, he would spot a homeless person and say, Ma, open the window and take from my envelope. And it was such a beautiful thing to see. So there's definitely, that's like one proud mommy moment that I have.
Right. That's great.
Yeah, so thank you. And you mentioned about teaching our kids that obviously there's Hashem, and Hashem is taking care of us. And we talked about earlier, you and I, about having faith and having trust in Hashem, and emunah and bitachon, and how that is a lifelong work. It's a lifelong avoda. And sometimes our finances and rocky moments with money can kind of put that to the test. And I'm sure we all know this on a personal level. So I'm curious if there's anything that you do, any practice that you do that helps you strengthen that faith, that emunah and that bitachon, that you feel this practice has even helped you with your own money mindset, or perhaps even with achieving your financial goals. Is there anything that you do that nurtures that part and that we can learn?
Listen, if we look at, davening, and we look at the siddur, so there are so many different places where it's very clear that Hashem is taking care of us. Even in the morning, when we start with our brachas in the morning and we say Shasali Kol Tzarki, in the bracha. And I have a little petek, like it took a little, sorry, that's Hebrew. I have a little note right by there, like a little piece of paper, a little pink line, so that I remember to focus, because sometimes we're women and we're busy and we're not totally our people and we're not totally focused on everything. But to focus specifically on that line to remind me that He is taking care of our needs.
I love it.
And
I'm stealing
also,
that one. I'm taking that on. I love that. Yes, good. It's so true. It's
and then in an ashrei, there are lines that are specifically focused. Hashem is tova meitiv lakol. There are different lines in our davening. And there's a whole parak in Shemona Esrei, and there are tehillim that so much of tehillim is all bitachon. I don't know if it's a half or a third, but so much of our sources are just reminding us on a regular daily basis how much Hashem takes care of us.
Right.
And we just have to focus on the words and concentrate on them and internalize that message. And it takes work. It's a lifelong avoda.
Right. Well, ladies, this has turned into a little Jewish meditation, and I love it. And I think this is another topic that we need to explore further. And I love this. And I think having that mindset, and sometimes we go through the words, but they're there for a reason. It's very intentional why they were put there. And if we stop and think about them, it definitely helps with our internal work in that area. So I love it. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So Debbie, I know that you're running an online workshop an online course on financial empowerment, Smart Women Build Wealth. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's going to entail? That sounds really exciting.
It's going to be a 6-month course opening in February, and we're going to go through 12 different money modules every other week during February through July. I will be teaching in each module one specific topic around money. We're going to be talking about every person defining, it's open to women, every woman defining for herself what it means to be wealthy, getting in touch with your money history, your money lineage, so that you understand what's going on there. We'll be talking about savings, investments. We're going to demystify the language around money so that it can be a safe place for women, so that they'll feel competent. This is really a rite of passage to adulthood. We can get married at 18, 19, 20, whatever it is, and have kids and become an adult, but we sort of lag behind when it comes to taking care of ourselves financially.
Right.
So we're going to be going through many different topics. We'll be talking about conversations, how to have conversations with the next generation. There's a lot that's going to be very values packed, and course.
It's going to be over 6 months, you said.
Over 6 months, every other week, there's going to be a class on Wednesdays, a live class.
And where can they find out more information, or if they wanted to sign up for that course, do we do it on your website, debbiesasson.com?
The course is on debbiesasson.thinkific.com.
Okay, I'm going to put notes to all that, but yeah.
Right. So it's on, you can go to my website and you can sign up for my newsletter. And in my newsletters, I'm going to be talking about it. I've already started talking about it because there's a super early bird special for the course open until December 15th. And then the price is going to go up, and the price will be, it's now $495, and then the price will jump to $595, and that price will be open until sometime in January. I don't remember the date offhand, but towards the end of January.
Very nice. Very, very cool. Okay, so I'll put notes to that so everybody could go check it out. All right, so let's wrap things up a little bit and kind of switch gears to more Jewish concepts or more spiritual concepts. And so we're going to do something that is fairly new here on the blog, but I'm hoping to do it in every interview. It's JLP fill in the blanks, which is the part where I ask you a question and you finish it off with the first thing that comes to mind. All right? So,
okay.
I am Debbie Sassen, and I feel most spiritual when?
I'm davening at the KOTEL.
Wow.
I live in Israel. How can I not?
You're so lucky. I'm just having these memories of being in Israel and being at the KOTEL. Yes, so thank you. That's beautiful. My favorite mitzvah, or one that I connect with the most, is?
making challah for Shabbos and hafrashas challah.
Wow, very nice. My fondest.
I would say it's very tangible. I like the getting my hands in there. It's very grounding.
And you know what? It's so interesting that that's your mitzvah that you connect to, because the meaning behind challah is really this idea that the women are responsible for both the spiritual and physical sustenance of the household, and this is the field that you're in, helping women with this idea of physical sustenance. And so there has to be some connection there.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. That's interesting.
Right?
Okay, good. I like that.
My sweetest, fondest Jewish memory is.
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. I mean, talked about my kids giving tzedakah, which is really, really beautiful. Maybe it's my grandson's pidyon haben. I don't know. That was very special. That was something beautiful to witness.
Right.
Two of them, actually. Two grandsons. Both of them had a pidyon.
That's beautiful.
How do you choose? That's good.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And my oldest was a boy, and he had a pidyon, and it's very interesting because since I was very young, not married, a single girl, it was one thing that I wanted. I don't know, like I had a thing that was one mitzvah that I felt like I wanted it to be in my life, and not everybody gets it, and I got it. So
didn't get it.
There you go. You got it for your grandkids. All right. When I give tzedakah, I like to give to.
Locally, organizations that are here in my community.
Beautiful. And lastly, I am Debbie Sassen, and today I am most grateful for
my family and the ability to live in Eretz Yisrael.
May we all be there very soon.
Amen.
Thank you, Debbie. It has been such an honor and a pleasure to have you here, and I really, this has been tremendous and so valuable. And to everybody out there, I really encourage you to go on Debbie's website, Sassen, SASSEN.com, and there's a wealth of information there, and you can contact Debbie to have consultations with her and sign up for her services, and of course, sign up for her new online course coming up February 8th, I think, 2017. Smart Women Build Wealth. So go check that out as well. And thank you. We wish you a lot of luck with that, and we hope to have you here very soon.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, Yael.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody. That was a wrap with personal finance and money coach Debbie Sassen. I hope you enjoyed that. And as I told you before, money is such a big part of Jewish lifestyle. It's an important conversation to be had, and I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know how things are going for you. Let me know how you felt about this topic. And it's a conversation. I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to learning also from all of you. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and please go check out her website, Debbie Sassen, SASSEN.com. And Jewish Latin Princess readers, I am so grateful and appreciative for you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.